They already tested this on me. The neighbor Method Yerman figured out the only thing that was good one that still had a positive effect on me was iodine, potassium. I'm talking about the pills here, the stuff that you would order from the internet, and variety of these multivitamins. Of all these vitamins, the only one that was still useful based on testing those was the one that you see right here at the top. All this, the rest of it, from what I understand, with other ingredients, they were no good. They didn't have any positive outcome on me. I am very serious. They tested absolutely every one of this on me. I'm not talking about today. I'm not talking about 2000 and I'm talking about sometimes before 2010. Of all the shit that you see, that was the only one based on evaluation done on me that still have a positive effect on me. Now it's 2026. So I partially learned about my problem. This is sort of important for me. They told me the first one, and I agree with it. This swinery actually goes way back in time. This goes to year 2000. It goes to the year before 2000, and soon what became a Czech company, that must be this here Ostrovit, who insisted that without my buying their vitamins I would die. This is a Czech Republic. As I remember, the torture increased and everything with the Czech assholes in the picture based literally on bestiality done on me. They came to the conclusion, if I am not going to be buying their stuff, I'll be dying. That's the stuff, that's how the stuff went on. So this here would be also the right one. It also says potassium iodide. So this is how disgusting this stuff was. I assume they're making it literally in a Czech Republic. Czech, this is fucking animals. This goes to 98. 98 when they started to test this, and sometimes in 2002 this company here, whatever, Ostrovit, whatever, iodine, potassium, it appears they created this product and started to market this, that this is a must for me to stay alive. Czech garbage. These are all the criminal suspects from Novo Mesto police station, Štefanić, etc. So you're talking about 98, they figure out that my body is missing things that my body was not missing, and obviously proceeded to cause more and more and more damage to my system, injuries. Finally even landed me inside of the psychiatric hospital, and I still survived. Maybe to prove that they know the stuff that my body needs, like we told you so. And then since you don't fucking die, you go to the psychiatric hospital. This is hard to understand, this abuse. 98, they figure out that this is what my body needs. Or you will die. You are dying. In 2003, 2002, the Czech garbage came out. We have a vitamins based literally on bestiality performed on me. No responsibility, nothing. Some Czech schizophrenics. They came and that's it. We started to manufacture this in Czech Republic. And they show me this prices, very expensive stuff, that I'm gonna have to start buying this stuff to stay alive and so on. Man, I figure out that insane, completely insane, that under other circumstances, if you're really normal circumstances, you would just go and buy. Now I'm completely broke without the money. And yes, I'm gonna go and buy. But the way this stuff was done, this is what I'm trying to say. It deters you from the stuff that you need maybe even to stay alive. Like mentally fucks you up through the torture. And the most important part, what is it? The most important part is that they were not testing vitamins and multivitamins on me only inside of the stores here in Slovenia. Andrej Štefanić will also explain they were picking them from the internet basically and testing all the products from the internet so they could prescribe themselves basically, so they could use them for themselves. Novo Mesto police officers, animals from this bunker here. Cuba Libre. Free market, basically. Doing whatever you want to do, barricaded in the house of some poor guy and use him as a rat, basically, to test the products on him. That's what I'm talking about. What exactly went on, I don't know, but it was 1995 where the British Royals already figured out that this is exactly what not this here, this is a cheaper version. This is questionable. This is with the pepper inside and cayenne pepper and stuff like this. Actually, might not be. I don't know how it is. Yeah, there is some cayenne pepper and stuff like this inside. That's supposed to be added for these ingredients to absorb them more inside of the body. But questionable is, if you have a problem with the kidneys, if this is actually even advisable for you to take. It can actually aggravate and make things even worse. But they figure out that, I don't know exactly what this means. This is quite expensive, actually. 60. They figure out that already in 1995, British Royals Andrew and Charles, I don't understand how you can travel to the house of somebody and not share with that person, really, if he needs something. But this wasn't about what I needed. They were creating injuries. They were tying me up with a backpack. You know, I carry the backpack around now, but back then they would tie me up with a backpack, straps all around my body, waist and upper area where the thyroids are located. And they had me carry that garbage mercilessly. They were killing the thyroids on my body. And not only in 1998, this shit went on all the way to 2010 and beyond, all the way up to 2015. For the first time, they were stopped by Eric Burke. It's already, I was facing a heart failure. So this didn't have anything to do with the help or something like that. They were recording themselves, they were video recording themselves, and they were making stories for themselves. In case anybody sometimes would inquire about these things. Zajšek, Štefanić, Juršić, This goes to 1995, and this abuse started with the British Royals in 1995. To be completely exact about this stuff. Now, with the backpack and stuff, when they were doing the stuff to break my spine, this goes way back, and it goes directly to Poland. It goes to the Czech Republic. When they would have me carry backpack drugged up, loaded, and redistributed with the weight unevenly through the straps that you tie to the backpack. One higher, the other one lower. And so that's how they created the injury on my right side of the spine. That's right, that's insane. When I saw those Czech garbage, now you have to buy this or die. I figure out, motherfucker, the stuff you were doing with me during MK Ultra, because during MK Ultra, you know. I figure out, recalling all the stuff they were doing with me, I'm going to be now paying you with the dollars and, I don't know, for the damage you did to me. That's never going to happen. So that's the kind of stuff that makes things even worse. That you would, in real time, you wouldn't even consider because of stuff like this. So they started the industry in the Czech Republic out of this, literally out of this crime. It's causing you a damage and then evaluating you to see what's actually good, what's actually healthy. This goes before year 2002. It must go before 2002 because it was fall of the Soviet Union and the Czech Republic started to pick itself up, and they were like fleas, assaulting and seeing anything and branding and marketing themselves through me. They were using me for absolutely everything, and fucking Czech garbage. These fucking animals from Novo Mesto police station, they were literally picking up the vitamins from eBay. 1995, they started to literally just go to the eBay, and they started to pick up the stuff literally from the eBay. One of these animals that was doing exactly this kind of stuff and not witnessed but participated actively in this stuff was my neighbor Metod Yerman, who barricaded, also a police officer who barricaded himself inside of our house, and that's the stuff they were doing. This isn't about the police. This is about the worst that can get, the worst that it gets out there. Worse than the robbers. Worse than our house. And that's his house right here. That's how close. That's his cousins. These are his cousins, also police officers. That's our house, you can see in blue, and that's his house. And he's actually from this house here next door. So this is just quite incredible. He's from this farm here, but he built a new house here. They were doing good with this crime. They were booming with this crime. They were making money. They were making overtime. This animals, as a police officers, became wealthy just by doing overtime, stinking basically inside of our house, and they gave them assignments to do whatever. Nurse Yanko was doing super overtime hours, was becoming wealthy with this. It's unbelievable the stuff that went on. Unbelievable the stuff that went on. Yep, this is myself, Bastian Auser. You have seen this on this kind of program. This is exactly what went on. And I might not even be the only person. Sometimes they would even convince me that abuse with a backpack was done for my sake. They had people, they had other people, they have all kinds of people. They would come from the city. People sometimes without the jobs or whatever. That it's good for me. They were making themselves look like as if they are video recording themselves, and they would use those video recordings to help me out. That's interesting stuff. People whom I have actually audio recorded and met in person at the library here in the Novo Mesto city was some of the people that were directly involved in this. Exactly where you see that boat going right there, there is a library next to the Krka River. Those are some of the people that were involved in exactly the stuff that I stated. And those are actually the first people that would give me at least a life-saving jacket to help me out bear the pain in thyroids whenever they would tie the backpack on me. That's how fucking crazy this stuff was. They would use life jackets to give me the life jackets and the backpack atop of the life jackets because of unprecedented pain in my arms. Something that I experienced, it was a wound and the wound's open. Something I experienced upon my return from Poland when I started to carry the backpack around. And it was the pain that was unprecedented. And I was forced to carry this around because anything that I would leave at home, it would have been automatically destroyed. This is another stuff the police enforced during MK Ultra. There is a library right here. They created themselves a library right next to the river. Like that should have been, and it's interesting because it cannot be seen. You cannot see it anywhere. Quite interesting. It says here, Pumpenza. This here, this stuff here. That's actually the people that were here. They would be the first one that I met and audio recorded at one point. They were the first one that they used. They would pick up the people from the city talking about the police. They were involving all kinds of people into this. And at the same time recorded themselves like they were out there to help you and so on. Hey, they give you in a backpack 10 kilos and they would have me pick up the mushrooms with it, walk far distance all the way to Sevnica and back, forcing me to use the hands behind my back and push the backpacks up and so on. These were at least the first people that they would give me a life-saving jacket so that it would soften the impact. It would the razor sharp ropes they would use. It would soften the impact on my chest, on my upper chest, where the lymph nodes were located. The neighbor, Metod Jerman, Zdenko Jerman, Tine Jerman, all the police officers were directly implicated in this. This is worse than a rape, is not? You're doing this stuff to murder individual. This is very important stuff indeed. My little Lindsey Vaughn girl who participated this stuff inside of the house that went on, she, God forbid that she would see something like this. She would go completely insane. I know so, because she was the one who later on insisted that I have to buy this kind of vitamins and so on and this and that. She was all stressed out like a mouse when she saw the shit they were doing to me, like beginning. They didn't show her, but she figured out that something is going that's terribly wrong. And sometimes like in 2003, she started to pay more attention to this. She was doing this competition, and so in between all this stuff, she always keep up with me, asking police officer about what's going on. The abuse which these murderous animals from this so-called Novo Mesto police station with the Kuchen Golob have taken literally in the jail. In the jail, they demanded from me to take the smartwatch down. Never even had any smartwatch. They demanded from me to understand there would be no vitamins inside of the jail and so on. They rip you apart. This every issue, like you live the life based on their instructions, the way it's gonna be, is embedded in every millimeter of wherever they orchestrate is gonna take place. In a worst case scenario for them, I should have been already gone. I should have been dead already by 2022 anyhow. Based on examinations they did on me in 2020. This was this psychiatrist Peter Kapsch, who enjoyed truly like better than a king, I think. He had a life wonderland of whatever they wanted to do with me, with the torture subject. They claim that this is responsibility of every individual. These are vitamins, that this actually goes even into 1991, what I have spoken about. And this was Miran Sudin who was involved, Napečnik from Ljubljana who came to visit me with the Sudin here to Novo Mesto. It goes even to earlier time. Yeah, this is absolute animals. But what makes it even crazier about this stuff was that my father was going to Ljubljana, and it's fucked up. In Slovenian language, it's called Ščitnica. Ščitnica. I lived in the U.S. since 1995. And the whole thing was so confusing because the father went for this Ščitnica scanning, thyroids, scanning to Ljubljana, lymphic system. And mother was laughing at him during MK Ultra that he is like a woman, that the males don't even use this. This is usually that the women have this kind of problem. And if you pay attention to these vitamins here, multivitamin, it's iodine, potassium, it's the women that usually would use this stuff. But during MK Ultra, mother was laughing at the father that he needs this kind of stuff, and also at me, that it's a women that need this kind of stuff and so on. My own mother was doing this stuff. My own mother, I'm never gonna forget her when she stated to me, she said, not to me, she said to the police in front of me. She said, she was laughing about me. She said, this one is gonna be easy to handle, but I am worried about this one right there. You know, obviously also had the father drugged up under MK Ultra. And sometimes they did. It wasn't bad enough for him, because if it would have been bad enough for him, he would have spoken to me. He would have talked to me about these things. But he didn't. He followed the police, if he ever was drugged up. It's a question here. She said, I will never forget her words. She said, well, she said, this one is going to be easy. But what about he? He might have not even been aware about what went on with my father. He was drugged up, for sure. That she pointed at him. What am I going to do with him? She said. He is strong like a bull. He is healthy. So my father was eating the food that everything that my mother was preparing, and he demanded all the food that police recommended, meat and that kind of stuff, you know. And he was getting absolutely everything for himself, and supplements and absolutely everything. He had physical examinations and so on. So mother started to complain, what the fuck is she going to do with him? Because with me it's easy, they already fucked me up. But what is she going to do with him? What are we going to do with him, with my father? Asking basically police to get rid of my father. Simple as this. This is the way it was during MK Ultra. This is what my own mother enforced this stuff. Those are the words of my own mother in front of me. With me, it's going to be easy. This one is already done. But what am I going to do with him? He is old, but he is strong. He is so strong. Vrabec stari. What the stuff that he can still do and so on. He is healthy, she complained. He is healthy. He is feeling good. Like this. And the police, Stefanic, Juršić, they were explaining to me with investigators that they do stuff like this, and they pointed because they rehearsed the murder of my father and demanded from me to approve the murder of my father. They pointed to me that we do stuff like this, however, only in some occasions to help the family members. This is how they were doing. They murdered my father. They killed him. He had nothing other than infections already during entire stay at this home for elderly people. Even at the hospital where they put him for where it's emergency care, at the beginning of MK Ultra, they started to plug him with COVID. He started to struggle to stay alive. And when it comes to 2025, I managed to keep him up in a good shape. Even in 2025, until the end of the 2025, this Serbian physician, who was his physician, and I complain about against her all the time, she said to me, she did exactly what she said to me, but at one point, you no longer will be capable. And they pointed out with my broken spine and so on, to work out with your father. And that's when I take over. At the end of the 2025, until 2026, when he was killed, it was nothing other than infection. That's all there was. One long fucking infection. The stuff that he was going through, the day when they called that he is dead, it actually made me relieved because of so many problems that he had. In a way, inside of me, it made me relieved. On the other hand, I already told my mom before, I threatened her many times, I told her. When you get rid of the father, I told her this. That's when it's going to be your turn. I told her, don't think that when you're going to get rid of the father, you're going to get rid of the stuff that you did to him. The stuff that you're doing. Because of so many problems she was doing to me during my visits to the father, together with the home for elderly staff. I told her, where you're going to get rid of him, this is going to be your turn. I told her, this is where with the police I'm going to get you behind bars in the jail. You're done, I told her. And the day when the father died, I told her, now you're going to see. I told her, this is what you did. I told you what you did to the father. Now it's your turn. I told her this. I keep telling her about that. This stuff here, when it comes to these guys here, these pumpins and so on, who have seen all this stuff, it's too bad it doesn't show the... Or maybe it shows. It shows, actually. It's right there. This is like people who are involved in MK Ultra, like center where they would be associating with one another at this place. But this is just few people. I mean, there was so many more people that were involved in it. But these people were involved way back in time. These are like veterans that gather themselves at this place here. know absolutely everything about it, about this stuff. It was year 1991 when I heard the words of this, in a parenthesis, police officers who told me, it was like humorous, we did some of that stuff. They don't tell you what they did. And it was as bestial as it gets, 1990, 1991. And they said, and now we're going to do some other stuff. Now they started to act like they were searching for assistance on how they're going to help me out. It was a bestiality that was performed on me. They figure out, now we're going to start to test basically vitamins on you. This is the way it was. Now we're going to do some other stuff. I said, what are we going to do? Now we're going to test. Now we're going to start to see how we can help you out. This was a neighbor, Method Yerman, a police officer. Now we're going to start to see how we can help you out. So they fuck you up the body, and now we're going to test you to see how we're going to help you out. This is the old thing about this iodine and stuff. My father was saving me a life during MK Ultra. I had Serbs searching both houses, this house and the old house in the city of the Novo Mesto. They wanted to know how come that I am not getting sick as far as thyroids, literally. They wouldn't say it was about the thyroids, but they did found the compounds which my father had, and one of the compounds was a iodide. And that's the stuff that you would apply on the skin, and it would absorb this iodide. I remember my father was paying enormous money for that stuff in Yugoslavia still. And it was the Serbian who was inside of the house during absence of my parents. They would just go inside of the house and they would browse the house, walk around in the house. Both houses. And it became evident that he found this iodide, and he said, I knew that something was wrong. I knew that something was wrong. And it was the iodide compound that he found in my father's drawers that father would be giving me during MK Ultra. They went after the father and prohibit him the use of this iodide to give me this as a supplement to help me out. Because MK Ultra is a total bestiality. This is a life without the sleep. A heart-burning procedure through trauma. Cardiovascular burnout is what it is. That's what MK Ultra is. Not to mention the garbage food they give you and the stuff that's designed to kill you. Poisoning. I see that my father was actually saving me a life on the side with this iodide. The Serbian was angry. He was mad because I wouldn't develop the problem with the thyroids, with lymph nodes. And they wanted to know why. And they find the iodide inside a supplement that my father had. They expressed them that we knew that something is wrong. This is fucking beasts that were involved in this. Unprecedented beasts, and they presented them as a police officers. They presented them to me as a police officers over there at the Novo Mesto police station. This is fucking amazing. The police officers, imagine this. If you present these animals as a police officers, then of course you know exactly the stuff that goes on. Then why the fuck not to arrest them? Why not to grab them? Already before, of course. Why to wait so long, and why to use them to present them and not arrest them and disallow individual to basically killing individual with severe health issues through delay and denial of the right to the police, using police to hospitalize him when he comes to the police station to complain, as it happened in 2024. I completely realized that eBay finally appeared on the internet in 1995. I totally realized that. However, the stuff I was telling you, how it all started in 1995, it started even earlier when it comes to the eBay. It started already in 1991. 1990, 1991. In exactly same way as it started with Alibaba and AliExpress, and later on with the Temu websites that were released before the official release. Before the official release. I told you about the British Royals were involved in this. Before the official release. What I told you about the British Royals and stuff, this was already 1992, and yes, they were testing the products. They were testing the multivitamins and all kinds of garbage. As a matter of fact, the testing of the eBay before it was officially released, this goes to 1988. It goes even earlier, into earlier time. The play with the vitamins, with the Charles, 1997, eBay, that kind of stuff. With the British, what you refer to as a king, King Charles. Fuck king like this, you're not normal. This thing here, this was a kiddie garden for the killers, for the KGB UDBA killers. It's bizarre when you see when I see British tabloids writing about the Russians poisoning, I don't know what's the name, Russian poisoning in UK. Skripal, etc., that kind of stuff. This shit that went on inside of this house was a kiddie play yard for the murderers, for the killers. This was basically this cabal that went on inside of this house. This it doesn't come to me. I'm all confused about this stuff now. Ritualism that went on inside of this house. This was a playground for killers, for the murderers. Joke, basically. I was a joke for the killers, for the murderers. Like, you would see children playing in a kiddie yard or something like this. So this police would come in here to do this stuff. Learn actually what was good for them and bad for them through the poisoning and stuff like this.